You will. It's a sunny day. Warm. The sun's beating down on your face. In one hand, you have a hot dog. The other hand, a soda. And you're watching your favorite team play. That's the goal of the Sports Authority. The goal of the NITA Sports Authority is to bring to you all professional athletics. And in doing so, we intend to build a stadium and a racetrack. Now, I know personally I'm very excited. 4 days from now is baseball season. And the city of NITA will also have a reason to be excited in the future if we proceed with this stadium. Now, the reason we are here is because the city of NITA and the Sports Authority has offered the defendant a certain reasonable amount of money in order to vacate her property. She has denied this reasonable offer and has instead demanded a massive amount of money far outside the scope of what the NITA Sports Authority had been willing to pay beforehand. Your job as jurors is to determine what this property, this 2/3 of an acre property with 4 dilapidated buildings, is actually worth. That's your job today. What is this property worth? Now, my job as attorney for the city of NITA is to tell you exactly what the evidence is. My name's John Risvold. I represent the city of NITA. And today my burden is to prove to you by a preponderance of the evidence that this property is worth what we have valued it at. Now, preponderance of the evidence is one of those fancy lawyer terms we use to try to explain to you exactly what we mean when we present evidence. But it's a really simple term. It means when you go back to weigh the evidence, if 50% of the evidence plus a feather weigh in favor of building this sports complex, then you as jurors have an obligation to find that the value that the NITA Sports Authority has proposed is the appropriate value. In order to prove this burden, we're going to call a slew of witnesses. You'll hear from the Sports Authority. You'll hear about their intent to build this sports complex, the intent to bring massive economic boom to the city of NITA. You'll hear how they bought the surrounding properties around the defendant's property for reasonable, fair market values. You'll hear what they offered, what the city offered the defendant for her property. Additionally, you'll hear from an expert, Janet W. Stevens. Janet Stevens will tell you that she has been appraising real estate for 20 years. She's been a consultant for 15. She'll tell you that she used what's called a comparable sales data approach. She took all these properties that we had, that had been bought up, compared what they were sold for, and then used that data to compare it to the defendant's property to ascertain the fair market value. She'll tell you that the fair market value of the defendant's property is the same as the NITA Authority offered, $24,000. Additionally, and most importantly, she will tell you that contrary to the defendant's claims, this property is zoned for residential use only. At the end of today's trial, I'm going to come back before you and I'm going to ask you to consider all the evidence. I'm going to ask you to consider that if 50% of the evidence plus that feather weigh in favor of building this sports authority, then you all, as jurors, have an obligation to bring professional sports to the city of NITA. Don't prevent professional sports from coming to this city because the defendant wants too much for a property that's worth too little.